In this edition, new law school for St. Martin begins in September, PSB Bank opens new location, and St. Martin celebrates Emancipation Day 2017. These stories just ahead as 30 Minutes with Government begins now. The initiative to realize a permanent law school in St. Martin has come to fruition. On Thursday, June 29th, Minister of Finance, the Honorable Richard Gibson Sr., received a law school report by the committee charged with researching the feasibility of setting up a law school on St. Martin.
Mr. Minister, on behalf of the committee that you installed last year, we want to congratulate you with this initiative. And I'm saying this initiative not only now that you installed this committee last year to really bring this law school to fruition starting September this year, but also that 35 years ago, each one of us are a product of that initiative that you took 35 years ago to produce at least a few lawyers for this community. And this one for this year will be sustainable, long-term. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much. First of all, I should mention that the committee is not complete as we stand here today, that Deputy Governor Reinhold Groeneveld has also been part of this committee, as well as Judge Bob Witt. They've done a wonderful job, and as a result of the work that has been done by this committee, all indications are we will have a law school starting in St. Martin in September, and as was mentioned, a permanent law school. It's so significant that the hair rises on my arms when I think of the impact this is going to have long-term on St. Martin. This committee is a committee that was specially chosen because, as was mentioned 35 years ago, a similar initiative was taken to be able to get people on St. Martin to study law. And the products of that, indeed, we're seeing here standing today, and I'm very proud of all of their accomplishments. I mean, the Ombudsman, Neil Ardine, who has been one of the people who came from that initiative, everyone knows what a tremendous job she has done as Ombudsman on St. Martin, protecting the rights of the citizens of St. Martin. Ms. Mavis Brooks, who is the Vice Chair of the Council Advice today, carrying out important work as far as legislation is concerned for the Council of Advice, which is an important institution on St. Martin. Mr. Gaston Bell, who has served our country as Minister Plenipotentiary in the past and serving our country still as a practicing lawyer, is also an example as to what that initiative brought about. And of course, Patricia Phillips, who has been a civil servant for many years, now incorporated in the offices of the Ombudsman, also has been an example as to what studying and learning could produce. And the example you're seeing here, concretely today, multiply these four. Of course, I want to include Reinhold Groeneveld, who also is Deputy Governor today of St. Martin, who also participated at that time in the program. Multiply that 10 years from now and see how many more of such outstanding citizens this law school that we're going to have will be able to produce. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And the work is now just starting. It hasn't ended. And let us go forth and make St. Martin a place where St. Martiners can excel in every field. Thank you.
In other news, the PSB Bank held a grand opening of its new offices on Friday, June 30th. The bank has relocated to the new Miss Lally Commercial Center on the Bush Road. Vice President of Parliament, the Honorable Rudolph Samuel, delivered his address on behalf of the Parliament of St. Martin.
What you are experiencing here this evening is a show of confidence. Confidence when the Myers family decided to build this commercial center. It continued from what we have seen happening prior here in St. Martin this year. We have seen in other parts of St. Martin, as in the Cold Bay area, confidence being depicted when we have a ultra-modern showroom established here in St. Martin. This facility is also a show of confidence, and the confidence shows and attracts other confidence that the Postal Service Bank also decided they will be part of that confidence. When you hear Mr. Hart speak tonight, you can hear him talking about the people who are coming in, the new customers of the bank, the new people who are saying to you, we too have confidence in this facility. The confidence is actually, people, the confidence in St. Martin. And the confidence in St. Martin will continue to grow step by step by step. So this evening, I would like to say congratulations to the Myers family, and also congratulations to the Postspad Bank for choosing this location. And most of all, to the people of St. Martin, congratulations, and continue to have the confidence that you have in St. Martin.
First Vice President of Parliament, the Honorable Rudolph Samuel. Meanwhile, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Justice, the Honorable Raphael Boasman, delivered his address on behalf of the government of St. Martin.
First, let me bring you greetings from our Prime Minister, the Honorable Mr. William Marlin, who is off island. So I have the honor to be representing him here this evening also. Occasions like this one we are celebrating today are not just for photo ops, but constitute the most convincing indication of how well our economy is doing. For who would invest in a new facility like this if they believe that there is no potential for growth or profit? The opening of this new office of the PSB Bank signals that in spite of some doomsayers, the economy is moving in the right direction. And speaking of moving, I understand that the PSB Bank moved to this location because its strategy in St. Martin is to grow the bank. Well, I'm sure the clients of the bank must be happy about this move. Not only was the bank's former location on the 1 Erskine Road leading to Point Blanche a bit too small, resulting in customers having to queue outside, but it is also offered not much parking space, making it difficult to access. In short, the previous location offered no potential for growth, hence the decision to move here. In this, your new home, it is clear that you will be much more visible and accessible to the public. You, therefore, have no excuse but to make do on your slogan, "Serving you is what we do best." Your customers expect this and will demand nothing less. Few people, I'm sure, know that PSB Bank, and unfortunately it was said before, is 112 years old. The knowledge and experience that you have accumulated in the more than a century of your existence should therefore be put to good use in serving your St. Martin clients. I noticed that your package of products include mortgage, car, and personal and express loans. In fact, you claim you claim the bragging rights of having the best interest rates on Gilder savings accounts. Wonder what Derek would say about that. You also operate as a broker for several insurance companies on the island. If you take a quick look back at the days when this island survived mainly on remittances from places like Aruba, Curacao, and the United States, to name a few, you will recall that those checks came via the post office, which was located inside the courthouse for many years. Our economy was then referred to as a postal economy. Many of us remember when there were hardly any banks on the island. Today, there is more than a bank for every 2 square miles in our side of the island, with many of these banks having multiple branches on both sides of the hill to cater to the increasing needs of their customers. We have had some rainy days where government budget is concerned, and this government continues to stress, as Abraham Lincoln famously did say, you cannot keep out of trouble by spending more than you earn. It is that simple. We know we have to cut our coat according to our cloth, which means that sometimes we may not even be able to afford a coat. So if government is trying its best to live within its means by having a balanced budget, so should every individual. Banks too have a role in making sure that we all become financially responsible and don't spend recklessly. This I think they can do by encouraging their customers to spend wisely. I do not claim to be an expert in the field of banking, but it is clear to me that banking, an institution that has been with us practically from the beginning of time, is not well understood by a vast majority of the people. This suggests that banks need to establish an education program that would make the public more financially literate, because a better informed clientele normally would result in better business for the banks and in better understanding and protection for the customers. Finally, let me congratulate management and staff of the PSB Bank on the opening of this new office. The complex where it is located is itself brand new, named after the late Ms. Eulalie Myers, who had a keen sense of civic duty and who made significant contributions to our society. It is in that same spirit that I wish you much success in this new location and hope that you will embrace your social responsibility and play your part in further developing the economy of St. Martin. Thank you.
(2017) Atlantic hurricane season storm names: Arlene, Brett, Cindy, Dawn, Emily, Franklin, Gert, Harvey, Irma, Jose, Katia, Lee, Maria, Nate, Ophelia, Felipe, Rena, Sean, Tammy, Vince, Whitney. The season officially begins on June 1st and will end on November 30th. Be prepared. Remember, it only takes one to make it a bad hurricane season.
And finally, the official ceremony celebrating the 154th anniversary of emancipation of slavery took place on Saturday, July 1st. The program carried a two-part theme. For the morning program, Breaking the Silence, which featured wreath-laying ceremonies at the Freedom Fighter and Juan Tete Loque roundabouts, and the afternoon program that featured an Emancipation Day parade and speeches delivered by various dignitaries at the Emilio Wilson Park.
The pounding in her head. One word says to flee. Sweat on her back. For voices in the distance, her feet blistered and torn, her will to be free, far greater than any pain she feels. She ran as her slave driver kept chase. She heard his footsteps, the vile words of threat echoes in her head. Never was the desire to be free as prominent in her soul. Body screams to stop, but her will says to run. Bush scrapes her already marred skin. Sweat caked on her body. She's dehydrated, gasping for breath. Total anguish ripped through her, searing her as the man with vile threats caught her, grabbed her, seized her body. Broken is she physically, but for her eyes, she's defiant, still fiery, not caged, never scared. His face contorted in pure evil as the whip he wields connects to flesh. Her screams of agony mixed with his devious laughter. The slow drives of the swirl of his whip mimic the movement of a deadly serpent. Connects with flesh, reopening wilt she arches in pain. He needs her broken mentally. He needs her to be less than human. Wielding his sharp blade, death screams was heard as her breath was taken from her enslaved body. Pain, pain, pain like 1,000 fire ants, like the whip sting but with fiery thorns at the end. Her whole body shuddered in pain, her enslaved body. The plan he had was to take, to break, but in the end she arose from her delirium of fever. She arose out of death's bed. Shackled her body may have been, but she was never caged where it mattered most. She was always deeply in her spirit, a free African woman. Free! Feet pounding on earth, run! Feel the awakening within, run! Rise up, shake off shackles and run. Run to your freedom. Run to no longer be labeled a slave. Rise up and run. Run from the swish and crack of the whip. You run, African woman. You run. Emancipate.
His Excellency Governor Holliday delivered his address, focusing on the theme, Breaking Our Silence for Justice.
Marie-Louise and I bring you warm greetings in celebration of our Emancipation Day. It is our celebration of the triumph of the indomitable spirit of our forefathers for freedom and equality. A triumph over the atrocious and brutal system of the enslavement of Africans. This triumph gave birth to a new promising era towards a more just St. Martin. Emancipation Day as such symbolizes an unwavering stance for justice. I will therefore, in keeping with today's theme and in honor of the legacy of our ancestors, continue my Emancipation Day talk with you. It is my 6th, on the topic, breaking our silence for justice. Breaking our silence for justice. My fellow St. Martiners, throughout the history of slavery, our forefathers and mothers relentlessly stood up and raised their voices for justice. Today, we are the beneficiaries of the legacy of their sacrifice, struggle, and ultimate victory for justice. A legacy passed on through continued struggle, echoed in protest chants, vividly expressed in Sparrow's Calypso song, Slave, and in Bob Marley's reggae song, Get Up, Stand Up, Stand Up for Your Right. Get up, stand up for your right. And I wish I could sing it like Bob Marley could. Can. If you only listen carefully enough, you will hear the voices, the echoes of our forefathers' chants in these songs. Looking to the future, we, the people of St. Martin, have a moral obligation to join forces in the tradition of the protest chants to stand up for justice. We must remember, as my grandfather often said, there is no success without sacrifice. There is no success without sacrifice. Yes, our forefathers sacrificed for us. And because of their actions, we have a better St. Martin today.
His Excellency Governor Eugene Holiday. Speaking on behalf of the Parliament of St. Martin was Second Vice President of Parliament, the Honorable Franz Richardson.
As we mark another day of emancipation, I often think about our collective destiny and what bold steps we are prepared to take to fulfill our destiny. It may sound strange that I choose to look forward instead of the past when speaking about emancipation. But I believe in successful future depends on how we embrace the past. Our collective destiny, our independence, depends on respecting our past. Emancipation Day affords us the opportunity to reflect on the most sacred part of our history, the day our ancestors knew the feeling of the power of freedom. It affords us the opportunity to honor countless of our ancestors that gave their lives, making ultimate sacrifice in the fight for freedom. Today, our freedom, at least in this part of the world, is not a fight for freedom from bondage. Our challenge is to ensure the positive growth of our country and to see to it that our people prosper all levels. Freedom, in this sense, is absolute necessity in shaping the future of any society.
Second Vice President of Parliament, the Honorable Franz Richardson. Meanwhile, representing government was Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, the Honorable Severia Jacobs.
And this morning we honored Loke. And we call her Wantete Loke, but she is Loke. She's remembered for her bravery, and that extra added to her name reminds us of her determination, because even though they named her and cut her breast, she ran again and remained free. And many others ran too, who remain unnamed, and we must remember them all. And then we proceed to remember the freed ones and how much they struggled and how they had to work to maintain the land that they worked for free in order that the colonial powers could be rich. And so the legacy of families, and Nkosazana mentioned many. This morning I also mentioned many, and some coincided. And I must say, we must do more to put what some of us know in books, because each day an icon is born and each day an icon dies. And with them sometimes dies a lot of history.
Many rivers of Babylon, many rivers of Babylon, many rivers of Babylon, many rivers of Babylon.
That brings us to the end of this edition of 30 Minutes with Government. For video on demand, be sure to visit the official government website, stmartingov.org, and be sure to check us out on Facebook and give us a like. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Cedric Peterson. Thanks for watching.